That's not how you parallel park. This is how you parallel park. We don't need to go to the movies to see vehicles doing backflips, loop-de-loops, and insane stunts. Sometimes, everyday drivers show off some of the most impressive amateur skills that look like they're right out of the Fast and Furious films. We're talking about high-speed parallel parking, gravity-defying wheelies, and incredible real-life Hot Wheels tracks. Here are some of the coolest and craziest amateur tricks that need to be seen to be believed.
Yes, this is my baby.
Sometimes it's really tempting to take cars where they're not supposed to go. Off-roading is a popular hobby for daredevils who don't mind if their vehicle gets a little banged up. We're talking driving over dunes, through forests, and across the muddiest of terrains. But this driver took off-roading to the extreme. In 2017, test driver Ho Pin Tung drove a Range Rover Sport up 999 steps in China. The ride started with the 7-mile Tiananmen Mountain Road until Ho Pin made it to Heaven's Gate, a popular Chinese landmark. Once there, the tough little Range Rover climbed the 999 steps at a 45-degree incline. There was no room for error because even a slight hesitation or change in speed could have sent Ho Pin careening backward down the staircase. And Ho Pin definitely felt the pressure, saying that, quote, "This was without a doubt one of the most demanding driving challenges I have ever faced," unquote. And the point of the stunt? To show off the new Range Rover, which puts out 398 horsepower and offers 31 miles of all-electric range. Try this with a sedan, and we'd likely be reversing down the staircase before we even made it up a few steps. Before diving into our next Unreal Driving video, tell us, what's the hardest part of driving? For us, it's definitely parallel parking. In fact, The Independent conducted a survey of 2,000 motorists and found that about a third of all people fail their driving test just because of parallel parking. So what's the normal procedure? We spot a space that might be big enough, line up our car just right, check our mirrors, and give it a shot. And then we promptly drive off to find an easier place to park. But parallel parking is a breeze for this next driver. To break the world record, Alistair Moffat slipped a Fiat 500C into a space that was only 7.5 centimeters bigger than his car. He took on this frustrating challenge in order to achieve the Guinness World Record for tightest reverse parallel park. And he didn't take his time either. Instead, he speed reversed right into the space, effortlessly sliding between the two cars without leaving a single scratch. This makes us wonder, does he offer lessons? Well, if you thought that was tough, how about going upside down? This next driver accomplished a stunt that seems better suited for a Hot Wheels track than in real life. Driver Terry Grant was the one brave enough to climb behind the wheel of a Jaguar F-Pace and drive the vehicle through a 19.08 meter tall 360-degree circle. The stunt took only seconds, but Grant was understandably wobbly after experiencing the extreme forces of 6.5 G. In fact, the Jaguar had to be specially rebuilt to withstand the force by changing the suspension and overinflating the tires. After complex engineering to make sure the stunt would go right, the optimum speed the engineers came up with was 51 miles per hour. There wasn't a large margin for error, so after the stunt, Grant described feeling like, quote, a hero. And rightfully so, since he managed to break the world record with this incredible driving. While it looks pretty cool, we gotta imagine that it's pretty terrifying. Give this video a like if you'd much rather watch this stunt on TV than be the one behind the wheel. No matter if you're looping loops or drifting into parking spots, does anyone else think that driving with four wheels is just a little overrated? Super spies like James Bond and street racers like the Fast and the Furious crew seem to hate keeping all of their wheels on the ground. But you don't have to be a movie stuntman to give two-wheeling a try. A lot of amateur drivers are deciding that less is more. More fun, that is. Take these Saudi Arabian drivers, for instance. They went viral due to their fun but unorthodox two-wheel driving technique. They even bring along passengers who are brave enough to stick their heads out of the window mid-stunt. That must take some serious trust in their skills. But what's the trick to their amazing tilting technique? Turns out it's all about balance and making sure they don't tilt their vehicle over the tipping point. A lot of practice and a lot of bravery are involved. Would you be willing to hop in the back seat during one of these crazy joyrides? For drivers who always think that less is more, taking a two-wheeled vehicle and getting it to do amazing things on just one wheel is even better. For motorbike enthusiasts, there are two wheels to choose from when it comes to popping a wheelie. Fans of the back wheel know that it's all about the right amount of acceleration. Drivers have to get their bike to that perfect speed where they can lift their front wheel off the ground and still speed forward, making it look completely effortless. But other drivers prefer focusing on the front wheel. This trick is called a stoppie, and it's all about braking, but not too much, or else the driver could completely flip off their bike. Holding the front brake allows the motorbike to lift off its rear wheel and still move forward. But while the drivers make these tricks look easy, they're definitely not, so don't try this at home. Unfortunately, sometimes even the most well-planned tricks can go seriously wrong. Meet Bartek Ostalowski, who lost his arms when he was 20 in a bike accident. But that didn't stop him from chasing his passion for driving. In fact, he's the first driver with no arms to earn his international racing license. He's a Polish professional drifter, and he does it primarily with his feet. It may sound almost impossible, but Bartek has a specially built Nissan Skyline that lets him chase his dreams. The vehicle has a big V8 engine and a special shifter that allows him to push forward and backward using his shoulders. His position in the car is also very important. He needs to be able to easily move his body to control the car. So space between him and the steering wheel is essential. And Bartek is more than just a driver. He's also outspoken about driving as a recovery tool for those with disabilities, saying, quote, "I encourage other people with disabilities to get involved in motorsports. It's a beautiful passion, and I think a great form of rehabilitation too, so make your dreams come true." While driving a car can be a real challenge, driving a huge truck is even more difficult. For example, it would take 11.5 Priuses to weigh as much as one Peterbilt 379. Pair that with the many gauges and buttons on a truck's massive dashboard, and a big truck driver has a lot to wrap their head around. And that's not all. Big truck drivers have to study and practice hard to be licensed. Plus, they have to be aware of the many laws and regulations different states have regarding the use of big trucks. Keeping a steady hand and mind is of utmost importance. So big truck drivers are required to undergo a thorough physical every 3 years and to keep a strict sleep log to make sure that they follow the 11 hours on, 10 hours off rule. Knowing all of this, what this guy does is 100 times more impressive. This driver is able to maneuver around sharp turns and effortlessly pull into tight parking despite pulling a huge trailer behind him. Reversing with a trailer is pretty counterintuitive, and this driver could probably teach people a thing or two about how to handle some heavy cargo. As if those huge trucks aren't challenging enough, this next truck puts them all to shame. It's a bit more mainstream, but no less impressive. This truck is called the Centipede, and it boasts a 550 horsepower engine, carries over a ton of fuel, and is 54.5 meters long. This vehicle is made up of a driver's cab and 6 attached trailers. Matt Langley, the Australian captain of the Centipede, says, quote, "If I take my foot off the accelerator, it'll take us about 4 kilometers to stop," end quote. Talk about having a plan ahead. Langley has to be prepared at all times to not only control the length of his vehicle, but to stop when he gets the command. The truck is so long that it's actually considered a road train. And speaking of road trains, the record for the longest one is 1,474.3 meters. The record-breaking vehicle was driven by John Atkinson, another Australian, who towed 113 trailers for approximately 150 meters in Queensland in February of 2006. Would you be willing to be responsible for driving something this long? Now that we've talked about the longest vehicle, what about the heaviest? This next cargo actually took multiple drivers to get it where it needed to go. A splitter, which is a huge piece of petrochemical development equipment, was transported down the highway in Alberta, Canada, on the way to Edmonton in January of 2019. The equipment was 587 feet long, 31 feet wide, and 42 feet high, and weighed over 903 tons. That's as much as about 164 African elephants, or 5 average single-story houses. So it's really no surprise that the transport required 4 puller trucks and 4 pushers to get it where it needed to go. The entire journey took 4 days and an incredible amount of concentration from the whole team. It's gotta take some serious skill and teamwork to maneuver something this heavy around corners. And of course, we can't forget the police escort, which is absolutely essential to make sure that everything runs smoothly. We don't know about you, but we would be incredibly nervous if we had to use our driving skills to escort such gigantic, priceless equipment.
Make a left. Dude, make a left! It's a one-way! Wrong way! Wrong way! Dude, what the hell?
We can't talk about epic driving skills without mentioning famous races like NASCAR and Formula One. But something lesser known, but arguably more exciting, is a rally. A rally is a competition for motor vehicles where drivers travel a long distance over public roads and rough terrain, usually through stages and checkpoints. While there are plenty of professional drivers out there, the guys competing in rallies are all pretty much amateurs. But performance rally events still have some pretty specific requirements, like specific licensing and first aid training. And of course, rallies require the right vehicle. Experts warn that beginners to rallying will crash hard and often, considering that they're driving at about 50 to 70 miles an hour and up to 100 miles an hour on a straight. So drivers should go with a vehicle that is old, simple, and strong. Some recommendations are the Subaru BRZ, the BMW E30 or E36, and the Volkswagen Golf. But even the right vehicle and lots of practice don't ensure a clean run. Rallies are unpredictable, so sometimes a driver just can't get his car to make that turn. And sometimes their wheels have a nasty habit of just falling right off. Funny fails aside, it takes some brave amateurs to traverse these winding roads at high speeds. So which of these amateurs impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to The Richest, and join our notification squad. For more crazy driving videos, check out these insane police chases, or find out about all the cool specs on the newest Lamborghini. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.